Welcome to the City of Battle Creek and the Battle Creek City Commission meeting for July 19th, 2022. It is 7:02. I'm sorry we're a little late, but we'll get our meeting going here. We're going to have a moment of silence for our invocation, and I'm going to call upon Commissioner Lance to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please, if you're able to, stand for a moment of silence and then have our pledge by Commissioner Lance. Commissioner Lance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Lance. Next item on our agenda is our roll call.
Commissioner Blood?
Present.
Commissioner Gray?
Present.
Commissioner Herring?
Present.
Commissioner Lance?
Here.
Mayor Benke?
Here.
Commissioner Morris?
Present.
Commissioner Reynolds?
Present.
Commissioner Sophia?
Here.
And Commissioner Zenda Wilson?
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Next item on our agenda is the proclamations and awards. And I'd like to call upon Commissioner Wilson, who will be reading a proclamation for Home Visiting Month. And are there any recipients here that would like to join us? Please come on up, and then I'll get the microphone.
Oh, there it went. Okay.
Thank you, and thank you. Hello. All right, whereas home visiting provides an opportunity for early detection in order to prevent or minimize developmental delays, evidence-based home visiting reduces incidences of child abuse and neglect, improves birth outcomes, improves family self-sufficiency, improves family and child health, and improves school readiness. And whereas home visiting supports the development of protective factors in families, buffering the impact of adverse childhood experiences. And whereas state and local partnerships, including the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, the Michigan Department of Education, and the Michigan Public Health Institute support home visiting programs and collaborate to grow and improve home visiting services, supporting families from prenatal through school entry. And whereas to reach positive outcomes, a continuum of programs and services are in place to support families and young children to reach their potential. However, many of the families who may benefit the most from services are not connected. And whereas quality voluntary home visiting leads to fewer children in social welfare, mental health, and juvenile correction systems with a considerable cost savings for states. And whereas evidence-based home visiting from prenatal to kindergarten is a two-generation approach to successful kids and successful families. Now therefore, I, the mayor of Battle Creek, and Kathy Zenda Wilson as commissioner do hereby proclaim August 22nd as Home Visiting Month in the greater Battle Creek area and encourage all our community members to recognize the valuable impact that home visiting has made in our community. In witness thereof, we have signed our hand on the 19th day of July. I want to just say thank you to all of you who are here, and for those of you who do this really, really valuable and important work. I know personally how impactful it is, and I want to give you an opportunity to share anything else you'd like to talk about.
Sure. My name is Susan Clark, and I'm the Director of Early Childhood Services at Calhoun Intermediate School District. And I'm here today with some of the members of my home visiting team. And we just, number one, we're very thankful to the Commission for this proclamation. But for those in the audience, if you know families that have children or are pregnant or have children till the age of 5, please connect them to home visiting. On August 11th, we're going to have an event at the Career Center, and it's open to all families. It's a family celebration event. And at that event, from 4 until 6 in the afternoon, we are going to have activities and dinner, and it'll be an opportunity for families to come and learn about all the different services that are available to them in the community. So we have some flyers that we'll leave by the back door when we go. Please take them home and share them with your friends and neighbors, because we'd really like to reach more families here in Battle Creek and in Calhoun County. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we can, yeah. Rebecca, could you take a picture? And I want to add that for the second time in a row, we have secured Governor Gretchen Whitmer's support for August being home visiting month for the state of Michigan. So that just came through today, right? Yes. So it's awesome. So great work being done by these folks. It's impacting our families incredibly. So please, yes, as Susan said, share, share, share.
Next item on our agenda is a presentation. I'll call upon our Assistant City Manager, Ted Deering, to make the introduction.
Thank you, Mayor. And good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to talk a little bit about our small business development efforts here in the city of Battle Creek. Our Development Manager, John Hart, is here this evening. I'm going to turn it over to John in just a second to talk about some of the accomplishments and highlights from the past fiscal year, as well as a few things that are upcoming for the new fiscal year. But before I do that, Vicki, if I could ask you just to advance to the next slide real quick. I just want to point out that we still are working hard to pursue a goal of a thriving small business economy here in Battle Creek built on investment and job creation. And the tactics and strategies that you see on this slide are the same tactics and strategies that we have been pursuing since about the time that we developed our small business development plan about 5 years ago now. And the reason that we're doing that is because that we do believe that these tactics and strategies are the key components of a thriving small business ecosystem in our community, and we work with a number of partners to get this work done with a lot of focus, almost the majority of our focus on minority and women-owned businesses. So let me turn it over to John to take it from here.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm just gonna, we can go to the next slide. I'm just gonna sort of run through really quickly some of the strategies and tactics and tell you where we're at with some of those. So as it relates to interagency cooperation, we meet bi-weekly with Northern Initiatives and representatives from MSU with the Product Center and Good Food Fund, Center for Regional Systems. We meet with them because we share many clients together. And so we go over our portfolio and we talk about them and advance them as much as we can. And then on top of that, almost weekly, I meet with Northern Initiative staff, and some of those staff are from what was the Second Muse team, which has now been incorporated into Northern Initiatives. And that's part of the morning light stuff that they do. So if you recall, they had cohorts, which they did small business training. So often we meet people who we need to push into those cohorts, and then we look to put them back into the districts. We also have stakeholders leads and referrals, and some of those folks are the such as VOSIS, Land Bank, Urban League, Chamber, BCU, and the Community Foundation. Those people give us leads on a weekly and monthly basis, and so we work through those as well. And we meet quarterly with WKKF. Some of our clients that we share in common are like P&K Deals, Sweet Pea, Soul Good, Pop's Family Kitchen, Sunlight Gardens, etc. So next slide. We also have a strategy to get access to capital, and some of the tactics that we use in that area. We actually had about $80,000 in funding to 37 different businesses throughout the last year. Some of them Be Extreme, Bread and Basket, Theralooms, Mookie's Munchies, Plumeria, Margarita 1014, and the list goes on. We've helped them in areas of professional development and technical services, such as using architects and accountants and doing environmentals and those sorts of things. We've also recently received a $100,000 grant from WKKF to focus on minority groups and female-owned businesses, and we look to parlay that and maybe do 50 to an extra $50,000 on top of what we've already done in those professional and technical service grants. And then we also recently received $75,000 in translation services because we realize that that's really important to our partners and to us to sometimes work through those complications. And next slide, please. Local procurement. So a business-to-business strategy. We have informal business referrals that we do an awful lot. And so some of those are local architects, local contractors, sign makers, marketing professionals. promoters and event planners, artists and musicians, and food businesses. So we try to, all these people that we work with, we keep a list of them, we try to blend them together with services for each other and with each other. Some of those, Laloma Construction is someone who has recently come to town, and he's got many projects in town based on referrals. And then just recently, through Cody Newman, we've met another female architect, of which she's now doing work for us as well. So we often work coordinated between. Next slide, please. District development. So this is where we go out in the districts and try to actually make improvements between the neighborhoods and the commercial districts which they're in. And some of the tactics are placemaking and sub-area plans. And for instance, in placemaking, we've partnered up with Breaking Bread, who does the Artisan Market and Bazaar. You've seen that recently. We've helped them with some of that work. Penetrator Events, they had a placemaking grant. Often we had to get involved with both the events and the physical improvements that they're making. Entrepreneurial clusters. What we try to work as in a district, we try to improve 2 or 3 things, spaces or businesses if we can at a time while we work there. So most recently we've been in Urbandale quite significantly. We've been working with banquet facility, beauty supply, florist, and appliance repair. That's just a sample of 4 or 5 businesses we've been working with. Territorial, recently focusing on buildings. We're looking at restaurant, office, personal service, a grooming, and a recreational use in 4 or 5 buildings. So again, if we can focus in a cluster and improve those buildings, and then through the cohorts put businesses into them, we can improve the districts. And then mapping. So you'll see on our website, we've mapped the districts. There's 18 districts. We've put them in about 13 groupings, pages. And on those pages, you can see the zoning, the future land use, and an aerial map of that district. And if you can drill down, you can break into the business profile. So take a look at our website, and you'll see how that's all working. Next slide, please. So technical assistance, couple tactics. So business resource training assistance. One of the things you might recall during COVID, we released Eats BC. And I can report to you that there's 80 to 90 routes that are run, about $1 million in revenue, close to $1 million in 2021. And there's 38 restaurants on the platform. It's a 12.5% fee and a $5 delivery fee. So that far competes with what's out there. And it's all local. Nowadays, they're doing about $70K a month. Next slide, please. Next, in the same technical assistance strategy, business liaison, business incubation. So we work really closely with City Hall in the zoning and planning and building inspections. And so we meet people where they're at. Sometimes we get referrals from City Hall actually to go out and meet with people to help them get through that process. We work with executive chefs and very skilled consultants in HVAC with commercial kitchens, and that's helpful to people as we can try to work through their issues. We also do business coaching around code, around leasing, environmentals, and that sort of thing. And we're a regulatory liaison. We have regular development meetings with city staff. They make referrals, and we also work with the manager's office as well on referrals. Next slide. Retention attraction, so we do that through a number of things, and so some of that is marketing and events, and some of that is actually going out and meeting folks where they're at. So we do about 100 visits over the course of the year with folks that are already in existence. And then we also have events like Cinco de Mayo and Cue the Creek and the Origami Project, which gives people an opportunity, artists and businesses, to participate. Next slide. And then you'll see also under retention and attraction, we have our new website that's launched, so please check that out. And on there you'll find an investment map and some other things like startup space and size up, which businesses can get in, and if they want to invest in town, figure out where they're at in the realm of the resources and how they're doing in comparison to other people. And with that, please visit smallbusinessbattlecreek.com for more information. And that's it, unless there's questions.
Thank you very much, John. Are there any questions for John? Commissioner Ronica, Elaine.
Thank you, John. What is the kitchen? That's the only thing I wasn't familiar with.
Right. Most of you probably know it as where Simply Sensational is, or
Okay.
Cafe Rica. So we call it the kitchen. It's a retail incubator.
Got you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, thank you, John. This is really helpful. I am curious, what do you need from us or me specifically as a commissioner to
Just
support you in your work?
keep sending people our way and
All right,
allow us to do our work.
all right, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Linworth Gray?
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, John. Thank you for the
Hello.
presentation.
Yes.
A couple of questions, kind of piggybacking on what Commissioner Zenda Wilson was just asking. Many who I refer to you don't know you exist.
Okay.
What are your plans to reach like potential entrepreneurs? I saw some of the information you presented, but I mean in more of a targeted way.
Well, that surprises me in some ways that people don't know who I am, because it seems like you refer an awful lot of people to me. So we've done 2 years of being fairly quiet, and so we need to come back out and get to know the community and meet them where they're at. So continuing just to do outreach, I guess. So continuing to meet with people I mentioned like VOSIS and Urban League and the Washington Heights and other folks that need us. Land Bank, we're together on the Land Bank. So people are getting the word out slowly but surely, and the website helps as well. So if folks can be directed to the website and we can keep working at a grassroots level, we'll continue that. But now that COVID is sort of waning a little bit, we'll be able to get more out in the public.
Great. And I think you used to do them. I know with COVID, you kind of stopped doing them. Where do you imagine some of the workshops that you used to do? I think were like $10, and they were on different subjects, using different marketing or different aspects of owning a business. Will you be offering those again, or in partnership with someone else who's offering them?
Both, yes.
Okay.
And so we used to do marketing Mondays. We stopped during COVID. So we'll just have to pick those things up. Right now, I'm a little short-staffed, so if people go onto the city website, they can get a job with the city, and there's at least 2 positions in my department or so.
See, I was trying to help you.
Thank
I was trying to
Yes.
help you say that. Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
Yes, we need the help. But we also believe in working collaboratively, so.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions for John? John, thank you very much. We appreciate all your hard work.
I tried to go as fast as I could, Mayor.
You did a very good job.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is Chair noting any added or deleted resolutions.
There were none.
Thank you very much. Petitions, communications, and reports.
There were none.
Next item on our agenda is public hearing. First public hearing, Madam Clerk.
This public hearing is for the purpose of receiving public comment on an application for an obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate on behalf of Plumeria, LLC, for the property located at 660 Southwest Capitol Avenue, Battle Creek, Michigan, in obsolete property rehabilitation district number 19.
Declare the public hearing open. If you'd like to make public comment on the subject of this public hearing, then please raise your hand and wait for us. And we will come, then we would like to have you come forward to the podium where you will have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please state your name and address before making your comment. And the reason why we ask for that is in the event we need to get back to you, we'll know who you are. Is there anyone who'd like to make a comment at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Elisha Hodge, 1364 West Michigan Avenue. I wasn't sure if this was the place where I should say something, but I prepared a little speech. So thank you for allowing me the time again to speak on behalf of my business endeavor. As some of you may know, I am the sole owner of Plumeria Botanical Boutique. I opened my shop in Urbandale on Michigan Avenue in 2015. I am a Battle Creek native. I moved away for a little bit to go to CMU for my art degree. I moved back when I was in search for a new career and a new start, plus my whole family is here. I have 20 years of experience in business banking, and that allowed me to work with entrepreneurs, writing business plans, reviewing financial plans, market analysis, and ensuring the backbones of their businesses were strong, which gave me the knowledge to create Plumeria, the foundation for Plumeria. My mother has worked in the flower industry for over 40 years, so she taught me how to make retail flowers. With her flower power and my background in art and business, we elevated the floral designs suited for occasions, for all occasions suitable for today. As my business grew, my space did not. So I started to explore expansion options. For the past 3 years, we've tried to find ways to make our current space manipulated to meet our needs, but it can't be done. So I started to have to look at properties for sale. I was offered flower shops in Richland and in Marshall that wanted to sell, but I wanted to stay in Battle Creek. I've spent 7 years building up my brand and my reputation. Battle Creek has embraced my message of spreading love through flowers. The people of the city have shown so much love and support and allowing me to give more so we can all grow better together. When I went to the Lakeview Hardware building at 660 Capitol Avenue, I knew it was going to be so difficult and a long and very expensive process. But I walked in and I heard the creak of the old hardwood floors, and I could just smell and feel the history there of that iconic building, and I was like, this is a good fit. So I couldn't make this decision by myself. I had to include, of course, my partner, who is also the backbone of the business, so he could realistically look to see what all it would take to make it possible. I'm a romantic and he's a realist, so it took us a little while. We deliberated for a while, but we both agreed that together we could make it happen. We refinanced our home and made that financial commitment, so we are personally invested, like all in. Brian and I have committed to using local contractors. We hired a local architect to render the drawings for our floor plan. We are creating work, we are creating jobs. I'm growing my staff. We're creating a beautiful building with green space for our community to enjoy. We know that with our knowledge, experience, and the resources that the city has made available to us, plus our hard work, like blood, sweat, and tears, legit, we can make this happen. Finally, I have to mention my team of supporters, not only from BCU and John and everybody in the city, but my staff, my work family. They're just an integral part of the community and to our success. In closing, I'm excited to bring new life to the Lakeview area. Just as we've seen in Urbandale, with your support and approval of the OPRO, we can revitalize this 100-year-old building. I'm excited for my second location to see Plumeria in full bloom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comment. Are there any other public comments? Yes.
Reese Atkins, 24 Popular. I'm also a native of the Urbandale area where I grew up as a child, and I've seen the flower shop there. I am grateful that a small business is growing and growing into a second location, so I do encourage you all to approve this and allow them to go forward. It is also taking an empty building and not letting it sit and get deteriorated to where the city has to tear it down or do excessive work on it to get it up to par. So I do wholly support this situation and support a smaller business growing. Thank you.
Thank you, Reese. Any other comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. We'll move to the next public hearing. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
This public hearing is for the purpose of receiving public comments on the draft home ARP allocation plan for the use of the city's special allocation of home-ARP funds.
We'll declare the public hearing open. If you'd like to make public comment on this subject, please raise your hand and wait for us to acknowledge you, and then come forward to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please state your name and address before making your comment. Are there any public comments at this time? We'll declare the public hearing closed.
Mayor? Kathy.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. All right. Thank you. Please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a reminder to y'all with the
Well, can
new...
you state your name for us?
Oh, thank you very much. I forgot about that.
Thank
Kathy
you.
Antea, Park Ridge in Urbandale, supporter of Plumeria, as a matter of fact. But what I wanted to remind the commission about in regards to the ARPA housing funds, and I was carefully reading that information. Thank you for having it posted on the website for us to easily find. Just reminding that we really need to have better coordination between all of the housing groups than we currently have. Yay, Housing Commission and the Homeless Coalition. I listen to your meetings and watch, and I still find that there are still lacking coordination between the various organizations that are trying to address this need. And I say that because I'm actively involved in several of the organizations, and sometimes I'm still like, WTH, I did not know that was going on. So that's a shame. The other thing I also want to remind you that, or I wanted to just mention, is that I disagree with some of the comments for some of the individuals that they talked to. And thank you, Chris, for doing such a extraordinary job of reaching out to so many of the people that are involved in this issue. But I disagree with the Havens assessment that the homeless families issue is kind of a short-term issue. They actually had that comment in their comment section. And I disagree. I think this is the beginning of an overwhelming surge we're going to see in family homelessness, which is a significantly greater challenge, I think, than trying to find warm beds for individuals. So I also want to make sure that we're looking towards some solution specifically for families. And we see a lot of hungry families at the Share Center. And while the youth are not allowed in our drop-in side of the shelter, of the day center, at Share Center, the youth are fed in our dining room, and I see a lot of them. And Robert and I have worked really hard at trying to make sure that we got stuff to give them so that when they leave to go spend the night in their cars or their vans, that maybe the kids have some snacks, or that they have some toilet paper, or that they have a cup to drink their shared apple juice out of. Imagine. I mean, just think about that, folks. The other thing I just also want to make sure is that why the heck do we have so many decent empty buildings, and why are we not making more specific work on these buildings to get them as housing? Right? I'm a big proponent of converting all of these baby boomer closed schools into housing opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Next item on our agenda is public comment regarding consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda. This is limited to 3 minutes. If you'd like to make a public comment regarding the consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda, please raise your hand and we will acknowledge you to come forward to the podium. You will have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please state your name and address before making your comment. Yes, sir. Cody Newman.
Good evening. My name is Cody Newman. I am here tonight with Driven Design. We are an architecture firm located at 117 West Michigan Avenue, downtown Battle Creek, Michigan. I am here in regards to Resolution 448. This is in regards to 468 West Michigan Avenue. I'm working as the architect for this project. This is for a liquor license on the property. I just kind of wanted to give a quick overview on this project. This is not going to be a liquor store. The goal is to bring a grocery store, a small market that is, into this neighborhood. Our architecture firm has done many markets across the state of Michigan, with the most recent one that just opened being in Albion, Michigan, Superior Street Market. If you ever get the chance, I recommend checking it out. Very small, similar in size. It's about 3,500 square feet market. Also had a liquor license with it, and they do sell alcohol as well. But the main focus for this project is to be able to bring fresh food and groceries to this community here. This is a food desert in the area that this is particularly located in, and I am in support of this project.
Thank you, Cody. Are there any other public comments at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Cindy Dion, 24 Poplar. I find it difficult to understand if you want to provide a grocery store to bring fresh food into a food desert, why a liquor license is required. I think the food store by itself is an excellent idea, but I don't believe we really need a liquor store in the area. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other? Yes, Reese.
Reese Atkins, 24 Popular. I will be speaking on Resolution 443 and 444. 443 is a resolution for a public hearing on August 9th on a property rehabilitation District 10. When I looked this up last night, I had noticed that it came to the City Commission for approval like multiple years ago, and apparently the business has just sit on it. Why is it that all of a sudden now they're coming forward to you, and why is it taking so long for that business to decide what they're going to do with the building when they applied for this way back when, and you know, it was just sit on. And the other one again is 444, which is resolution for 660 Capitol Avenue Southwest. Again, I do support that one because I support small businesses growing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reese. Any other public comments at this time? Yes, in the third row.
Hi, my name is Myra Taylor, and I stay at 39 East Baldwin, and I'm standing here for my brother who owns a barbershop in the community. We do need this store in the community as a one-stop shop because since taking away a store, there's many people who can't get to major stores, and they need someplace that they're able to walk to and get to get things of convenience to them, their families, and the other people in the neighborhood, even the elders in the neighborhood. So this would be a good thing for our community if we had this store.
Thank you very much for being here. Any other public comments at this time? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Walter Sherrod, 131 Seedorf. It would be a good idea for that store to go there because it's the urban area, and we need more stuff like that. It's people that don't have cars to drive to go to. I don't care if it's liquor there or not. It's liquor all in that area. So that would be perfect for that area.
Thank you very much. Any other comments at this time? I see one hand in the back row. Please come forward.
Good evening, everybody. So yeah, I'm also, just wanted to talk about the fresh market. So I'm the founder of Sunlight Gardens, a 2-acre urban organic farm in the Washington Heights area. And, I really think that it's a part of my mission to support this store because our mission is to increase access to local food. And the entrepreneurs have reached out to me and, said that they are interested in partnering for me to supply local food for the market. So for me, it's like, this is directly related to my mission to, provide local food to our community. And, they have proven to me that they also do very good business and take care of their stores. And honestly, there's some liquor stores that are allowed to run however they want right now. And in my opinion, they're not necessarily really safe environments. And from what I've seen from their work, I feel like this would be a store that, yeah, they might be selling liquor, but every grocery store sells liquor. And I think, I think it could be a really professional spot, nice, bright, people feel safe shopping there. And it, like I said, it directly works with my mission to increase access to local food. So thank you.
We also want to congratulate you on your $20,000 check that you picked up today.
Thank you very much, sir.
Are there any other public comments at this time? Got one hand, John Kennefic, I believe it is. Recognized it by the hand. I didn't see your face, but I saw your hand.
Well, I was hiding from you. I'm going to speak in regards to Resolution 446, a resolution seeking acceptance of the lowest responsible bid for a boiler to be installed in the police department. The cost is $247,915. I don't have an objection to the boiler going in, but I'm always bothered because that money is pretty much originally set up to be thrown away if you had only had some forethought. Originally, the old police station was just right across the way here, not way down the road. And apparently, the wood pellet furnace system and the venting system is losing heat in the wintertime to heat the building at the police department. So a boiler is needed. I will repeat something, not that the boiler is not needed over there to heat the police department, but since Chief Blocker and a police officer created circumstances that weren't true to the old police station and went to give and engineer things to make it look worse, the police station to look worse than it was, caused you to have a new police station built at $15+ million plus $10 million interest. And that station could have sat there and had a little rehabs, and you wouldn't have spent that money. So you wouldn't be spending the almost $250,000 for a boiler if you'd only really did a hardcore inspection and did your job in the first place. You would have seen that some of the stuff over at the old police station had been manufactured in such a way as to give a negative light, and most of the things that were brought up that were considered problems with the old police station weren't actually in existence. They were put there to give the impression that there was a problem. This $250,000 is sort of like throwing away money that wasn't necessary to throw away if you hadn't engineered the problem in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to commission comment regarding meeting business. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Yes, young man.
Hi, Harnoor Singh, 147 Barrington Circle. Good afternoon, members of the commission. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for what you do for the community, and thank you for taking the time to listen to everybody's opinions. I'd like to speak about Resolution 448. I'd like to address some things that I've been hearing regarding the market, and also further clarify as to our intentions for the currently vacant building. First and foremost, I'd like to clear up the misconception that we're opening a liquor store. We'll be providing fresh produce and meats with the majority of it locally sourced, market willing. We're planning to do 4,000 square feet of market and 2 1,500 square foot white box retail spaces. This project is something we truly believe is good for the community and hope to have the support of the community moving forward. So now, having hindsight, I've only recently found out that we need a special use permit to open the market where the Family Dollar used to be. Having known this, we would have delayed asking for this transfer so that the commission and the planning commission could really see our vision. We already started to partner with local farms such as Sunlight Gardens in Washington Heights for the procurement of these local veggies and meats, and we're stepping out of our comfort zone of the traditional convenience store and doing something greater, a grocery store that is helping local entrepreneurs put their products on shelves. If this request gets approved, then along with the market, we're looking to build 2 small spaces, 2 different suites for other entrepreneurs to grow their businesses. To address the transfer of the license, so we're trying to mimic grocery stores such as a Myers that incorporates the sale of spirits to keep this business model viable and able to sustain. By selling strictly produce, we don't feel that we'll be able to build a feasible business model that would allow us to be here long-term providing fresh groceries for the community. If this resolution gets passed and the Liquor Commission denies the approval, then we can't proceed with efforts to put in small grocery and we will have to abandon the idea. We don't feel having a fresh market where spirits are sold in addition to grocery would in any way hurt the community, but rather add value and address the current food shortage issue that exists. The Washington Heights Fresh Market would in fact make food more accessible to the local residents of the area and bring in employment. Currently, somebody has to walk 2.6 miles to the closest grocery store, which is Family Fare in Urbandale. We fully support the positive development that's happening in the area and believe this project to work in conjunction with efforts being put forth by the commission and local leaders. We are happy to sit down and have open dialogue with anyone who sees this market as having a negative impact instead of a positive one, because we believe our investment to align with the needs of the community. We would like the commission support and the community support, because without it, we cannot move forward. So thank you guys so much for your time today, and we look forward to hopefully working in conjunction with the commission and turn our vision into reality. If possible, I'd like to ask that if this matter could be tabled so that I can work with my architect and work with you guys to give you guys some more insight into what we're really trying to do, and so you guys can see what we're trying to accomplish. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. I did see one more hand in the back row. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Ricky, and I reside at 194 Apple Blossom Lane. I am the owner of the Best Western on Beckley Road, and the Singh family actually reached out to me due to my background and what I've done, and they wanted a good idea for what the location could provide to the community. The concept came up, and I actually reached out to a friend of mine from Grand Rapids. Her name is Mary Kay Hood, and she was willing to write a letter in regards to the concept. This young lady was awarded an Achievement Award by Obama for her work that she does for Kids Food Basket in Grand Rapids. So if you don't mind, also this letter I have forwarded to you. If you don't mind, when you get a chance, if you could share with the rest of the commissioners. The proposed market at 436 West Michigan Ave in Battle Creek needs to open to address the problem that all food deserts cause. These food deserts are inhabited by low-income residents with inadequate access to transportation. In Grand Rapids, we have been exploring a lot of different ideas to address our problem here. On Bridge Street, a market was backed by Myers and is now serving that area. We need to let families like Singh's rise to the occasion and help them with the issue. They have a plan and the people to support them instead of people standing in their way of the vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky. Are there any other comments at this time? Are there any other comments? I'm not seeing none. We're going to move on to our next item on the agenda. This is commission comment regarding meeting business.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Is there any questions by the commission? Yes, Commissioner Panika.
Sorry, I was lost there for a second. I would just like to make a motion to nominate Commissioner Carla Reynolds for the vice mayor position.
We have a motion on the floor for Carla Reynolds to be the vice mayor. Is there support?
Your Honor, excuse me, there's already a motion to approve the consent agenda. I know that was a little out of order. Probably better finish the consent agenda approval and then go to the election of vice mayor.
All right. Let's approve the consent agenda first, or finish the comments regarding meeting business, and then we'll have the election of vice mayor. Is that okay? All right. Are there any other comments concerning the meeting business? All right. We do have an agenda on, or we do have a motion on the floor made by
Support. I think you
All
needed
right.
support.
Yes. Thank you.
Commissioner Gray, did you say support?
I did.
All right. Thank you. We have a motion. We have support. Are there any questions by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on the consent agenda?
When is it working?
Nothing's coming up.
Okay. Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
The consent agenda has been approved. Now I'm going to go to Commissioner Banika hearing to provide your motion.
Sorry, that was a little out of order there.
That's all right.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to nominate Commissioner Carla Reynolds for the vice mayor position.
Support.
We have a motion on the floor and support for Carla Reynolds.
Mayor, excuse me. For nominations, we don't have motions, just I nominate Carla Reynolds as vice mayor. We don't need a support. And then just look, is there anyone else to nominate anyone else for this office? So we don't have motions and supports for the.
Thank you very much.
So do you need me to rephrase that?
Just that you nominate her, and then that's good.
Okay, I nominate Carla Reynolds for, or excuse me, Commissioner Carla Reynolds for vice mayor.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, can we have a motion for a unanimous support of Carla Reynolds for mayor?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Carl.
Yay.
Okay, now we're at resolutions not on the consent agenda, or not included. Resolution 444, Madam Clerk.
Plumeria LLC is seeking to rehabilitate the obsolete property at 660 Southwest Capitol Avenue. They have expressed interest in using available economic development tools to assist their efforts. One of those tools available in the city of Battle Creek, due to its status as a core city, is the obsolete property rehabilitation tax abatement, where the property qualifies as obsolete property in an obsolete property rehabilitation district. With the approval of the obsolete rehabilitation abatement, Plumeria LLC will redevelop the building at 660 Southwest Capitol Avenue. This resolution seeks approval of an application for an obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate on behalf of Plumeria LLC for the property located at 660 Southwest Capitol Avenue, Battle Creek, Michigan, in obsolete property rehabilitation district number 19, and having an estimated cost of $750,000 for real property improvements.
I move for the approval of Resolution 444.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 444. Are there any comments or questions or clarifications? Commissioner Wilson.
Just a thank you to Plumeria for your commitment to Battle Creek. Hearing that you had options in other towns just really, I think, really drives this home for us. Thank you for your commitment and your passion for our shared community.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bonica, Herring.
And I would also like to say we appreciate the community support that you give. You pour from the heart, and you truly believe that flowers equal love, and it's infectious when you walk into that flower shop. You just want to buy everybody flowers. I've bought everybody flowers. So I'm happy to hear that you are opening a second location and not closing the Urbandale store, because I get my car washed and I pick up flowers. It's a thing. So congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments at this time? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 444?
Okay, am I missing something? Because nothing's coming up on the screen.
It should be coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 444 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 445.
The city has been the recipient of funds from the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, JAG, program for many years in cooperation with Calhoun County. JAG grants are the primary provider of federal criminal justice funding to state and local agencies for things such as technology and equipment used in law enforcement. This resolution seeks approval of the annual renewal of fiscal year 2022 Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance Grant in the amount of $48,689. This amount will be shared between City of Battle Creek Police Department, $29,213.40, and the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department, $19,475.60.
I move to approve Resolution 445.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 445. Are there any comments from the commission? Please vote on Resolution 445. Resolution 445 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 446.
A solicitation was issued June 16, 2022 for sealed bids for the purchase and installation of 2 boilers in the police building. Engineering from Fishbeck evaluated the space and provided specifications and drawings suitable for bidding. Originally, the police building was going to share boilers with City Hall. That turned out not to be feasible. This resolution seeks acceptance of the lowest responsible bid for the police department boiler project from Hunter Pro Company in a not-to-exceed amount of $247,915.
I move to approve Resolution 446.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 446. Are there any comments by the commission, questions, or clarifications? Commissioner Blood.
Thank you, sir. I wasn't here when we initially made the decision to do the new police building. So I just heard that, it was supposed to be shared, a boiler system. So what I'm hearing is, at the inception of this building idea, it was proposed to share a boiler system between the city and, I'm guessing, somewhere underground with the new police department, and that is not working adequately. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's correct.
Okay. And so when we originally thought this, I guess we thought that the boiler system could handle, did the old building share a boiler system with us? Is that why we assumed it would work?
That's really, no, I do not think that they shared, but I don't have that information with me from an engineering standpoint. I just know that when the new building was planned and designed, that everyone felt that it could share with City Hall, but for a variety of reasons, as some were mentioned, it just has not been successful, and we do want to have heat at the police department.
Okay, so we don't have heat there right now.
It's not consistent, particularly in very cold weather.
Okay, and you don't know if the previous building shared a boiler system?
Sorry, I don't know that right offhand.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments by the Commissioner to learn more? Gray.
Yeah, I just wanted to further talk about that. What can you be a little bit more specific? I know you've stated it before, just to restate for the public what exactly is happening regarding the system not working, not providing heat.
The connection between...
A consistent basis, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Thank you, Commissioner. Sorry to interrupt. No, the design was for that to share with the piping system that was originally drawn between City Hall and the police department, and we aren't able to get consistent use of power that a boiler gives off between the two buildings.
So is it certain areas that are getting it and other areas are not, or all of that is just, it's
We can't
random?
get enough boiler power into the new facility to consistently heat the entire building.
Okay.
And then it fails and potentially could impact City Hall as well. We've had to go back to the drawing board. I think that in good faith and how it was designed, it was intended to be a positive and feasible. It just didn't turn out that way.
Thank you.
Welcome. Chief Blocker, do you want to add something?
He looked like he had
He
something.
did, he stood right up, didn't he?
I'm very familiar with the project from the beginning. It took 4 years for us to come up with the concept and the design of the facility. And like with any facility, it's a new design. You don't know what you don't know. One of the things we did do is we brought in a third-party consultant to look at the boiler system here in City Hall. And the question was, could the two facilities use the same boiler? And we were told by that consultant, because frankly, I don't know anything about them, was told that not only would it support our facility, but potentially a third. Well, that turned out to not be true. Matter of fact, it wasn't true at all, and the heat was inconsistent. But there's a secondary problem. The straw, if you will, or the piping between City Hall and PD, whatever happens with the ground, happens with the ground. We believe there may have been a breach in one of the connections, and it was discovered. The problem is, we know that it was discovered that there was a breach, but we weren't able to discover exactly precisely where it was. And so because of now, potentially, we're looking at near-term end-of-life challenges with the current system, it was then decided to go and put a new boiler in our current facility, which is really what we had thought we'd do all along. But there was sincere belief by folks that are certainly smarter than I, and engineers that felt that the current boiler in City Hall was more than adequate. And, well, we found that it wasn't. And that's it. Are there any other questions?
Any questions from the Commission for the Chief?
I do now.
Commissioner Blood, did you?
So Chief, what I hear you saying is there is a leak in our current system that's not adequately getting heat over.
That's right.
Are we addressing the leak that we assumed to be there?
We are. Matter of fact, we've been probing for it for some time, and right now we have a temporary heater at the site of the station right now, which I think cost us about $5 or $6 grand a month to retain.
Okay. Just to make sure that we're proactively not just bleeding heat into the ground and we're actually looking for that is good to know. Did the third party that you use have any kind of warranty on their suggestion. Like, hey, it's gonna work, and now it's not. Like, what does that look like going back and saying, hey, dude, you gave us this information, and you are not obviously right?
Yeah, we asked that on a lot of projects, and what do you think the answer is?
Okay.
No. Most of those kinds in construction type of loans, and there's certainly smarter people in here than I, when it comes to projects and new projects, you get about a year to kind of work out all the bugs. But after that, you're pretty much on your own.
Okay. And then do you know what else is shared other than a boiler system? What else is shared between City Hall and the new PD building that we need to anticipate and plan for possibly not working?
No, just simply information flow, services, and kindness between the two.
Okay.
We'd like that to continue.
Information flow and services in a boiler, that's not, okay.
That's right.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions for the chief?
Thank you.
Any other questions about the resolution?
I don't have a question, sir, but I do have a statement. And please don't, the intent of my heart is not to say this in a bad way. It's easy to find money for this. I'd like it to be just as easy to find money for some of our fire stations and updating them and making sure that they have the adequate resources. I love our PD, I love Chief Blocker and our guys and ladies. And I want to make sure that we're as proactive in seeing how their systems are working and making sure they have adequate heat and adequate everything just as quickly as we do for this building. Thank you.
Just for point of clarification, I believe this is coming out of the police budget. This isn't new monies.
No, I'm not saying it is, we're concerned of where it's coming, sir. I'm saying we need to adequately make sure all of our buildings and all of our teams have money to do these types of things. And regardless if it's coming out of our budget or the police budget, that is not what I'm discussing. I am discussing the fact that we need to have full funding for things that when these things go wrong or go under, that we are able to adequately fix them in the budget that is provided for the fire department.
That's fair. Thank you. Lynn, did I see your hand go up? No?
No, no further comment.
All right. Are there any commissioner comments? Okay, please vote on Resolution 446. Resolution 446 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 447.
The city currently leases city-owned property at 75 Houston Street to New Singular Wireless PCS LLC to permit occupancy for the location of telecommunications equipment. The city's initial lease with the lessee for this property began June 2nd, 2005, and was first amended March 7th, 2013. New Singular Wireless PCS LLC desires to enter into an amended lease agreement for the installation and use of a diesel generator and associated equipment at this site. This resolution requests authorization for the city manager to execute a second amendment to lease with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC to allow for the installation and use of a diesel generator at 75 Houston Street.
I move for the approval of Resolution 447.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 447. Are there any comments, questions, or clarifications by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 447? Resolution 447 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 448. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Mayor Mark Banky, Commissioners Jim Lance and Sherry Sophia requested this resolution be placed on the agenda. The City of Battle Creek has been notified by the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, Liquor Control Commission, LLC, that it has received an application for the transfer of ownership and location of a 2022 escrowed specially designated distributor SDD license with Sunday sales permit and an application for the transfer of ownership and location of a 2022 escrowed specially designated merchant SDM license with Sunday sales permit for the address 468 Michigan Avenue West. An SDM license allows an owner to sell at retail beer and wine for consumption off premises and for takeout consumption off premises. An SDD license is almost always held in conjunction with an SDM license. An SDD license allows an owner of a store to sell spirits and mixed spirit drinks at retail in the original package for consumption off the licensed premises. The types of business that generally have SDD and SDM licenses are grocery stores, drugstores, or convenience food stores. This resolution seeks approval to communicate Commission opposition to the Liquor Control Commission for SDD and SDM liquor license transfer request to 468 West Michigan Avenue.
I move for the approval of Resolution 448.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 448. I wanted to first start out by explaining my position. For a number of years, the Commission has had to have discussions about various liquor stores in the Washington Heights area that have become a concern to the overall safety and health of the community. We're notified routinely about liquor licenses. However, as a commission, we really never take the opportunity to discuss the ramifications of another liquor license. In this instance, it's coming from outside of the city as a new liquor license from Emmett Township. I just wanted to be transparent and to demonstrate to Washington Heights and those people in that vicinity some of the past problems that we have had, specifically on Hubbard Street, where we struggled for a number of years to get the property owner there to adhere to some of the concerns that we had as a commission. At one point in time, we were going to purchase that liquor store in order to shut it down. Fortunately or unfortunately, the liquor store caught on fire, and then the property owner destroyed the building, and now there's just a vacant lot there. But I just wanted to make certain that we discuss the ramifications of another liquor license in this vicinity, and to make sure that we understand what may take place if this is allowed to come in there. I wanted to say that first at this time. Commissioner Bonica.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to say to the owners, thank you for wanting to address the food desert that is Washington Heights. I do have concerns about the liquor stores in that community, but you're putting in a grocery store. All of this term that we have been commissioners as a newbie, we have been talking about food insecurity, we've been talking about food deserts, and I'm glad somebody stepped up. I don't want to see us go another 2 or 4 years or more without a grocery store in that neighborhood. And as somebody who has worked in management at a retail grocery store, you don't find grocery stores that do not sell alcohol, because 30% of their sales and their profit come from alcohol. That's how Myers and Walmart and Family Fare are able to stay open, because even if food costs go high, you can still fall back on alcohol and tobacco. And even if they didn't have it there, they can go on either side and get alcohol. So my concern is, like someone stated earlier, what about the people that don't have transportation to get to the grocery store? What about those seniors that need to take a cart or a scooter or a wheelchair and go to the grocery store? As someone who previously worked with housing initiatives in this city, when they were giving out state money to talk about building apartments and putting all this stuff together, like there's a score that they have to do, a walkability score, to put in these apartments and housing spots. And the closest grocery store that we talked about in that meeting, where there were commissioners present, was 1.6 miles away from where we were trying to put an apartment complex. That does not make common sense. We're talking about doing housing and all this other stuff. Well, food and grocery stores matter. When we put in housing, we gotta have somewhere for people to get groceries. And you can get liquor anywhere you want to, but If you look at any place, tell me where there's a grocery store that does not sell alcohol. Like, you cannot stay in business if you don't have extra things and additives to support you. You have to be sustainable. So I want everybody to keep an open mind about this, because first thing we hear is liquor store. It's not a liquor store. It is a grocery store that will sell alcohol, that is going to utilize the fresh food that is being grown in this community and by local farmers. That's going to feed our kids. This will be a store that takes EBT and WIC cards, hopefully. I'm going to throw that plug in there. Hopefully taking that, and that's something we need. We need places to get toilet paper. Family Dollar didn't have a lot of food, but I know doggone well I saw carts full of groceries being walked through our community, because that's as far as people could get. So I am in support of your grocery store, and I encourage you to reach out to the community. Like, I hated that I had to hear about it just through commission stuff, because I would have supported you. I support you. I support you reaching out to local farmers and local food growers so that we can bring that in, because we do need healthy food for our families in the Washington Heights neighborhood. And I might not live over there, but I'm there every week, at least 3 days a week. And I would like to see those people have an opportunity to have a grocery store in their neighborhood. And if you get ambitious, the east end of Battle Creek will need a grocery store too. So hopefully after years of success for this one, we can talk about the east end as well, because I appreciate you for even venturing out to something new, because it's not a convenience store, it's a grocery store. Thank you.
Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you. A compelling case was made here this evening. It was because as I read what was on our agenda, it sounded like it was going to be another liquor store, and I had the same reaction, right? I know that the National Institutes of Health does a study, and it's rather comprehensive, about the impact of liquor store density in neighborhoods and what it does to the value of life. There's actually diminished lifespans of folks who live within a certain proximity of a certain number of liquor stores. So we know that we've got evidence that too many is not a good thing for a neighborhood. I was really, really heartened to hear that this is a grocery store that would sell liquor. I appreciate that. I do wonder if we're premature in our decision. I would love to hear more feedback from the community itself, as well as see the plans that they're working on that are really about what this is going to be. And so I want to thank everybody who is here today for speaking up, because the limited information we have that's written is all we have to go on often. I know that there are other commissioners who've heard loudly from some of their constituents, and I'm sure they're going to share what they've heard. But I would like to hear more and learn more about this project, because I do think it's critical, and you're going to address a very significant need. I would just want to know more before I make a confirmed decision.
Commissioner Morris, and then Commissioner Reynolds, and Commissioner Lance.
So personally, I think it's a great idea. I support what Commissioner Herring said. This is something that we need in Ward 2. But I can't vote off of how I feel personally. I have to vote off of what the community that I serve and represent feels. And the community that I serve and represent doesn't have the same story that was presented here tonight. The only information that they know is that we want to bring another liquor store into Ward 2. That's all that they have heard. They haven't heard the plan like we've heard it here tonight, and some of the other phone calls that I've had prior to this meeting. So I would like to see some community outreach before I can support this.
Commissioner Reynolds, Vice Mayor Reynolds.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to piggyback on Commissioner Morris, I did have a time with Mr. Singh. We spoke about it, and I expressed to him my concerns about the liquor sales. We didn't have much information. As I told him, it was the first that I have heard of it as well, and I also thought it was just going to be a liquor store. So at this point, because at this time, you're not sure whether or not you're going to get this liquor license, and if you don't get the liquor license, then the store will not be able to open. The state, yes. Okay. So at this time, I suggest you might want to table this until we can reach out to the community and get more information about your business.
Commissioner Lance.
Yeah, I believe during some of the comments that were made, a special use permit was brought up by the applicant, and I would agree. I was under the impression it was going to be straight liquor store like that we typically see. Obviously, the information that has been presented tonight, as well as the people in support of it, have mentioned some items, but I would definitely, I'll make a motion to table this. Yes, Attorney Steele.
So right now, there's a deadline. You're given X amount of days to respond, to give your input to liquor control. I don't know if they're gonna, I would assume they have to delay anyway, because they do need to make sure that zoning requirements are met, and part of the zoning, as was mentioned by the folks involved in this project, is that it would require a special use permit. So it's possible, if you table this, that if there still is a majority, or I should say, if there is majority support to oppose this, that you would miss that deadline. I just wanted you to be aware of that.
What is that deadline, ma'am?
I think there's a 30-day, they give you a 30 days, and that would be the end of this month. Now, I don't know if they're going to push it off, but that's what liquor control says. Here's your notice. You've got 30 days.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there support for that motion?
So I actually have a question. So that means, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
So that means. We're having trouble hearing you. Okay, sorry. So that would mean that the commission wouldn't have a say? If we table it, we'll miss that and they won't get to hear what we have to say about it?
Potentially. Well, so remember, this resolution, the way that it was requested to be written was to express opposition. If you don't pass this within that 30 days, then liquor control just wouldn't get any input on it. And they're not obligated either to, they'll consider the input, but liquor control's regulations the decision is up to them. Just wanted to clarify how this resolution was requested to be worded and is worded. And so if you table, postpone, whatever you might do tonight, then it's a potential they won't get any input from the commission on it.
So can I ask a follow-up question, Mayor?
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Follow-up question, if I may. So if I'm interpreting this correctly, then it's possible for us to rescind any opposition, and then there would be no input from the commission to the liquor commission, correct? Because we're not approving the liquor license. That's not our role.
Correct.
Okay.
So what's I'm confused.
So we had 3 commissioners who asked that this be placed on the agenda because they were in opposition of it. If they now stated, and maybe it's just that we don't pass this resolution is what you're saying, and then that would ultimately then just leave it where it's at right now, where there would be no feedback.
So if right now, I think there's a motion, I didn't catch if it was seconded, I think there's a motion to postpone consideration of this. So if that happens, we don't have another meeting until July, and so the 30 days would be gone anyway. If it's not postponed, and the vote is that there's not 5 votes to pass this, then no input is sent by the commission, and they'll just go through their normal process at liquor control.
So, for purposes of conversation, I will support Commissioner Lance's motion to table. Is that what you were saying?
Correct.
Okay, so
Knowing table makes it kind of just disappears if you don't have a date certain.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, we do have a motion on the floor now. Commissioner Linmore Gray.
I don't even remember what I need to talk about. I've been having my hand up so long over here. Okay. Look to the right, look to the right. Okay, anyway, thank you, Mayor. So if we table instead of postpone, just to make sure I'm clear, the resolution dies at that point. Is that correct?
If that motion is supported.
If the motion passes. Okay. Because I absolutely feel that we need more grocery stores in the neighborhood. It is a couple of things that have been mentioned already that concern me, that we need more community input. I really appreciate everybody who has come out today to give their thoughts on it. Really, really helpful. And I am happy that you're wanting to take that leap and support the community. I do think Save a Lot is closer than Family Fare. There is another grocery store there. But I think having a grocery store in that location is just huge. And I think hearing the totality of your plan would be very helpful, and then certainly more opportunities for the community members to weigh in on how they feel about this, because there is quite a history, as the mayor had mentioned, regarding liquor stores in that area. A lot of the neighborhood planning council work was heavily involved in some of the past owners being not so good neighbors. They were taking from the community instead of pouring into the community. And I love the fact that it sounds like that's what you're trying to do, is to build up the community and offer fresh produce, et cetera. So I'm thinking that if we can, as part of the process, really give the community an opportunity to weigh in and see the totality of this project, I think that would be very, very helpful in helping me make a decision, because again, we're doing it on behalf of the community, not my necessary vote as well. So thank you for the opportunity to get my 2 cents in.
Commissioner Blood.
Thank you, sir. I have a few questions and comments. Attorney Steele, if you may answer a few. This is just to put an opinion in front of the Michigan Liquor. Can we as individuals write our own opinions? Because I see in the supporting documentations, there's addresses and ways in which to communicate with them in support of or opposition of this request. Is that true?
So the notice is sent to people, I think, within 300 feet. You could certainly, if you're not within 300 feet of it, you certainly could send a letter just stating you're an individual commissioner.
Okay. So we can express that. Thank you. So whether we're in opposition or not, and just to give context to this and try to stay in my lane, I grew up in a home of alcoholism, and my biases come from that. And I also come from a home that relied on food stamps and other things. If the goal is to get into the community and provide adequate food, I'm all in support of that. It was mentioned that it couldn't sell on produce alone, that alcohol is needed. However, not a stone's throw away is another alcohol store. So how does one compete with an alcohol store that's already well established right across the street? I don't know, but that's your business to plan and do. I fully support a diverse grocery going in and making foods available. And if that's the kind of support you're looking for from me, I would be happy to write a letter of support of a grocery store. I don't know, and I haven't seen your plan. This kind of just got dropped in our laps. So I wish you well in whatever you do, but I will ask that beyond the Liquor Commission sending out a letter to those in 300, feet of, or miles of, or feet, is that you knock on some doors. You go to community leaders, you go to community programs, you get involved and say, how do you feel? What do you need? Is this too much? And you could have already done that, you could have not, I don't know. I don't live in that neighborhood with those residents. So I wish you well, and I would support just perhaps each of us individually writing our own opinions, because it seems like there's a diverse set of opinions on the commission in regards to either support and opposition. So I would concur with tabling this and just letting each one add their own voice.
Thank you, Commissioner Blood. Commissioner Sophia.
Thank you, Mayor. Attorney Steele.
Yes.
So I understand that we have a motion to table. Is it possible to amend this resolution? Because I think I'm supportive of tabling, but I also understand that that potentially takes away any ability for this commission as a body to weigh in and say, these are the concerns that we have. Is it possible to reject the motion by Commissioner Lance, amend this resolution to send a letter to the commission stating that there is additional work needed to be done by the applicant, that there are other, what is a special use?
Special use permit.
So there's a special use permit that's needed, that there needs to be additional community involvement and conversations. And so there are concerns, but we reserve our right to weigh in at a later date. Is that possible?
You could do that. They might ignore it. I mean, it's liquor control and they've got their
they
deadlines.
Can ignore, even if we send a letter in opposition, they can still ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question.
Okay, Commissioner Linwood Gray, but I just want to remind you, we need to discuss the motion on the table.
Trying to find a way here to be most productive. And it gets to the applicant with that question. I think the applicant might have mentioned that he might have done it a different way had he gone through the special use permit process, et cetera, before applying for the liquor license. So I'm wondering if the applicant tabled or withdrew to reapply at a different time. If that is an option for them, maybe it's on that end that this is made more pliable.
So it's been a while since I've dealt with clients that had applications at liquor control. You know, it's quite standard that they're gonna contact you back when they look through your packet and say, you need this, this, and this. I had already intended to just send a letter letting them know that this would require a special use permit. So it's likely they would wait to, or maybe they would consider it on all the other merits and then say, dependent upon you obtaining the special use permit, because the regulations do say that they have to comply with zoning requirements. So that's a zoning requirement of the special use permit. So I don't know that they would want to rescind their application, because I think that would be a lot. I think that would potentially be expensive to them, having already paid application fees to liquor control. But, so to Commissioner Sophia, I already intended to send a letter just to let them know that this requires a special use permit according to zoning. And I don't know what liquor control would let them do. I mean, and I'm not sure at what point this is going to be set for a hearing in front of liquor control. I think this is just their standard. Here you go. You got 30 days to get your input in, and at some point in the future they'll set it for consideration by liquor control.
So is that, for the tabling, if we tabled it, this resolution dies, however, if they go through the special use permit process, et cetera, we could bring this resolution back or any other one, or do we have to postpone it in order to be able to bring it back?
Well, you know, we really don't have anything that would prevent somebody from, in the future, bringing a resolution about this if you table it and it goes away. I just wanted to let you know that may become moot.
Okay. I just wanted to know whether we could bring it back as it is or the other route at a future date if we chose to. Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say a couple comments, and then I'll go to Commissioner Bonica-Herring. I am in favor of the tabling. I think we've achieved better understanding of what is needed and taking place with this establishment. I think it's important that we had the community dialogue and included Washington Heights as much as possible because of our past experiences. So, Commissioner Herring.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I would just like to point out how it looks. There's a lot of bias and there's a lot of negative stigma about the Washington Heights community. And I understand that they're going to sell alcohol, but so does Walgreens. And I would just like to say that it seems like we're doing a lot of opposition for a grocery store in a neighborhood that a lot of us don't live in. And I just want to put that out there because that's important. We represent not just one neighborhood, we represent the whole city of Battle Creek. And I understand that some people might want to table it, but then that means we don't get to have a say. And if it doesn't get pushed back by the state liquor license board, then we still don't have a say. That means that the people of Battle Creek don't have a say. And I encourage you as the owners, if you want community input, Washington Heights is doing a carnival. Washington Heights United Methodist Church is doing a carnival this Saturday, the 23rd, starts at 10 a.m. Come out because the community will be out and you can tell them the information that they need to hear. Because like they said, a lot of us thought it was another liquor store going in. That's when you tell them, hey, it's a grocery store that will sell alcohol, and you talk to the people there. But I don't feel we need to table it because then we don't have a say for our people. Even though they may not care what we think, but we got the paperwork and they asked us what we think. And it's not us as a person, and I understand because my family was affected by alcoholism, but I can't tell somebody that they don't deserve to be able to walk to the grocery store just because I don't like alcoholics. Like, you can't, that's not fair. And if the city of Battle Creek is talking about being equitable and inclusive and diverse and all these other vocabulary words that people keep throwing around, we can't just say, oh, well, yeah, I'm cool with it being a grocery store, but not with alcohol. There are no grocery stores here without alcohol. Like, we have to think about that is a neighborhood that is revamping themselves. They are trying to get away from this stereotype that other people that don't live in Washington Heights are giving them. I see the work because I'm in the community. I'm on the ground running in that community, celebrating the successes from all the organizations that are doing good work in that community. Do they need to know that there's more plans for it than just a liquor store? Absolutely. But because there's a deadline that Attorney Steele just said, we have to speak on behalf of those people who need a grocery store. Like, the audacity of us to say, oh, no, we're going to table it, and if it dies, it dies. Like, do we hear ourselves? That's my 2 cents.
Are there any other commission comments at this time? Vice Mayor Reynolds.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Herring, we did not understand that when we were talking about tabling until we heard what Attorney Jill had to say still. So I am in agreement. I just hope that this goes through with the state, for this to move forward, because without that, it's a mute.
It's a food desert.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other commission comments? Would you please vote on Resolution 448?
Voting on tabling.
Excuse me, vote on the table.
Okay.
Sorry.
So to clarify, this is a vote to table the vote.
Yes. Table the resolution.
Thank you.
The motion has been defeated. So we're back to voting on Resolution 448. Are there any other comments by the commission?
So based on the wording of 448, you're asking us to vote in support of or opposition to an opposition letter going to the Liquor Control Commission. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commission comments? Commissioner Bedinka?
I'm just trying to, it's worded so funny.
So, based on what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like maybe you would just like to amend this and simply say that you support it, that you'd like a letter to go to Liquor Control that the commission supports this application because X, Y, Z, whatever you want to say, to just try to revamp the whole thing. So that is an option that you could motion to amend this resolution.
Instead of the original wording?
Yes.
So I put out a motion, that's what you're saying, I need to make a motion to amend.
So one of two things can happen. Somebody could motion to amend this resolution and basically turn it upside down, and instead of objecting that you want a letter to go to Liquor Control that you're in support of this, and you could give some reasons why. Or the other thing that could happen is that there's a vote on it as it stands,
And we vote.
and it's either passed or it's defeated.
Okay.
And if it's defeated, no letter will go out. So essentially, the motion to table would have
That's
prevailed.
what I was trying, okay.
I knew that's what you was going on
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah.
So you want to make a motion to amend.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to amend the, where are we at? Let me find the number, hold on. Resolution 448, so that we send a letter of support to the Liquor Control Commission with the extra knowledge that we've learned here tonight. Is that right? Or do you need me to list it all out?
Well, you could simply say that you support it, or you could say, based upon the applicant, the information provided by the applicant at the meeting, we support the granting of this
Do I need to repeat that,
application.
or can we just word it exactly how she just said that? Because I'm not going to remember that. I'm going to be honest.
Well, and the other thing that you said at the end, I think, of your motion was some of the other things that commissioners were wanting, the community input, the special use permit.
Yes.
And those kind of things. So is that possible for her to add those things that commissioners are wanting to see?
Well, I mean, it's possible, but the regulations do say they have to comply with zoning.
Right.
So that's going to have to happen anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, provided they meet all zoning requirements, all building and zoning requirements, you could say that. It's in the regulations anyway, but you could say that.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, effectively, what we're doing here is, if we can add as many conditions as we want, is what Jill's saying, but we really need to limit it to one thing, because at the end of the day, if they do need a special use permit, which it sounds like it, that's going to come back before our board anyway. So, backdooring it, if you will, we still have a authority over the actual liquor license being on that property. We might not have, per se, authority over the actual approval of the liquor license by the state, but we certainly have approval of whether or not they're able to operate a business that sells liquor at that location under the special use permit. So how I would do the amendment is I would make a motion to amend this resolution to include that the applicant complies with all zoning regulations. That's it.
And I want to make one clarification, so I'm not sure if it was understood. So the special use permit has nothing to do with the fact that there would be a liquor license. The special use permit is because in this newly created zoning districts from when we revamped things, it's kind of this narrow requirement, because it's a T3, that if it exceeds 5,000 square feet, any retail, could be a flower shop, Any retail requires a special use permit if if the building itself exceeds 5,000 square feet. So it doesn't have anything to do with them seeking a liquor license.
I understand that it has anything to do with them seeking the liquor license, but the granting of the special use permit or denial of the special use permit certainly impacts whether or not they're able to
Open it
conduct
all.
business, correct?
Yes, to open it all.
So-
So I just wanted to make that clarification.
So they're
It
still going to
wasn't-
have to meet the construction standards, setback standards, and all the things that are required to meet under the special use permit conditions. So
Yes.
it still will come back before us.
Go to the
or-
planning commission and then to the city.
That's correct, for us, for our approval or denial.
Yes, yep.
Commissioner Lance, you have made a motion, right? To amend.
Sure.
All right, do we have support?
Support, bless
All right,
you.
very good. Can we now have discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, Commissioner Sophia.
Thank you, Mayor. I can't support this. I mean, I still have too many questions. And I'm sorry we never had a chance to connect before tonight, but, you know, is it going to be 80% alcohol and 20% groceries? Because I think that that's a little disingenuous, but it still meets the letter of what we're talking about. You know, face the fact, it is Michigan, so do you have hoop houses? Are you providing produce year-round? I mean, there's still a lot of questions in my mind about how this is actually a grocery store and not a liquor-only store. So I still have a lot of questions and can't support a resolution saying that we're supporting this.
Commissioner Morris.
I personally have faith that it will be a grocery store. I don't think that you are trying to put another liquor store, but that's from what I have learned. So I do still have to say that I can't support this because I do represent Ward 2, and there has been an overwhelming amount of responses saying that, no, we don't want this. So I say again, we need community outreach.
Commissioner Lynn Moore-Gray.
Is it possible, I think the architect is gone, but just do they have the answer to that question as far as the square footage that is dedicated to liquor versus the fresh produce and groceries? Do we have that answer today?
I don't have that, no, because we don't have any kind of, we don't have a special use application, a special use permit application.
Oh, I'm asking if the applicant has that information.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
It was 3,500.
If you could come up to the mic, if it's okay with the mayor. I just wanted to know if we had the answer to that question today as far as the square footage of the proposed grocery store. How much is dedicated to liquor?
Yes, so the grocery store is 4,000 square foot, and the 2 units in the back, white box spaces, are 1,500 square foot. We're still working with Cody Newman.
1,500 square foot total or each?
Each.
Each,
unit.
thank you.
And we already have a local tenant from the community that's going to be occupying one of the suites. The other one is still empty. We're working with Cody Newman to actually get all the drawings together. And if I would have known I had to do a special use permit first, I'd have the drawings so that you guys could see that, okay, this is this much liquor, this much grocery, and you can see the whole layout. But I didn't know I had to do a special use permit.
So you don't have any of that information right now?
Not right now, but
Okay,
we're
thank
working with Cody to get it. Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
Just to clarify, can you stay there? So you don't know what percentage of your store will be liquor. Based on your earlier comments, it sounded as though you understood that you had to have liquor to make sales. So it made me, the impression it gave me was that you had to go through and somehow, in a business plan, like to offset what you're not going to make in produce, you have to have in alcohol. You don't know what that percentage is that you'll need to have available in that store to actually make the store viable?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Any other questions of the commission? All right, can we please vote on the amendment then?
Can I say something? Sorry.
No, you can't.
Can we read the amendment one more time? Just read it. Can you read that?
Vicki, can you read that amendment, please?
The the one from
The amendment that we're voting on.
Commissioner Lance.
But Commissioner Lance.
Yes.
Motion to amend resolution to include applicant complies with all zoning requirements.
I think he was saying to say that we support, amended to say that we support, provided that the applicant meets all zoning requirements.
That is correct.
I need to change my vote. I'm sorry.
I can just clear them all and start
Okay.
over.
Yeah, but I have to think. I don't know right now. Like, I really, can I abstain? I don't have a vote. Okay. Mayor, can we take a short 5-minute break in the middle of this vote?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
She's not clicked her vote yet. That's
Oh,
why
okay.
I've not shown it up there.
I didn't know that she hadn't finished her vote.
She asked if she said she had to think about it, and she asked if she could abstain, and I told her no, she could not abstain. Is that
Okay.
correct, Jill? She cannot?
She has to vote unless she has an actual conflict of interest.
That's what I thought.
All right, so now we've taken a break. Well, I'm happy with what's been proposed here. I think we got good community dialogue. I better understand it.
The caution, commissioners, your mics are on and we're still live.
Thank you.
I just want you to know.
Thank you.
I've been sitting on this pen the whole time.
Okay, City Attorney, I have a request by Commissioner Morris to clear the vote so that everyone knows how they're voting on the amendment. Is that okay?
Yes. I think it's fine since it hasn't been,
Okay, so we're going to clear the vote,
Yeah.
Madam Clerk. And is everyone prepared to vote? All right, will everyone vote on the amendment? The amendment has been approved. We do not have to vote any further, or do?
technically, we need to vote on that resolution as amended.
Okay. As the city attorney clarified for us, we now need to vote on the amendment to the motion.
On the resolution as amended.
Correct, on the resolution that has been amended. Are there any questions by the commission? See none? Commissioner Vice Mayor.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm not clear. I just want to make sure I'm understanding what I'm voting for now.
Sure. So Commissioner Lance motioned to amend this resolution. And so now it's amended to say that you want to express support, provided that all zoning requirements are met. And then the not inconsistent portion is that the clerk will send a letter that is showing this support. So you had 8-1 to amend it, so now that resolution is amended in that manner. Now you need to vote on that resolution as amended.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So can we read the actual? It's still, the wording is still off, like it still sounds funny.
So Commissioner Herring initially requested that the resolution be amended in support of the application for the liquor license at 468 West Michigan based upon the information provided by the applicant. And then Commissioner Lance requested a motion to amend that resolution to include applicant complies with all zoning requirements.
Okay, thank you.
And then Commissioner Herring supported that.
Correct.
Yes.
Are any other questions at this time, Vice Mayor? No. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions. Would you please vote on 448? Resolution 448 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 449. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
The City Department of Public Works Director and his team have been working with the property owners of 315 West Columbia Avenue to secure an easement across the property to install public stormwater connections to the Forest Hill Pond on Capitol Avenue Southwest. The engineering department has determined that the value of the assessment is $8,000. This resolution seeks approval for the city manager to enter into a development agreement with Gogwek Lake Development, LLC, providing for the grant of a storm sewer easement to the city and a city small business development fund contribution toward demolition of the structure at 315 West Columbia Avenue.
I move to support, move to approve Resolution 449.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 449. Are there any comments, questions, or clarifications by the Commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 449? Resolution 449 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 450.
A portion of Lakefront Drive extends southerly from Wallwe North Drive towards Gogwek Lake and straddles two plats. Historically, Lakefront Drive has also been identified by various other names, including Fern Drive, Euclid Drive, and even as an extension of Wallwe North Drive. The privately owned portion came into being as the result of several property owners who petitioned to vacate the portion of the lakefront drive right-of-way located within the beach reserve so as to extend their property to the Gogolak Lake waterfront. The Calhoun County Circuit Court entered a consent judgment vacating the beach reserve subject to easements for the city of Battle Creek for purposes of maintaining public utilities and for police, fire, and other emergency access. The judgment did not include an easement retaining the portion of the property that exists as Lakefront Drive as a public right-of-way. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to execute an easement agreement to establish a portion of privately owned property as part of Lakefront Drive, including a dedication for use as a public road.
I move for the approval of Resolution 450.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 450. I'm first going to go to Commissioner Jim Lance to make a statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will be recusing myself from voting on 450. I think my firm was involved in some of the underlying litigation, and I represent some of the homeowners on other matters, so I will not be voting on this one, or 451.
Thank you for that clarification. Are there any other commission comments, questions, or clarifications on 450? Seeing none, would you please vote on 450? Resolution 450 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 451.
This resolution accepts the dedication of all three portions of Lakefront Drive as a public right-of-way, clearly establishing that Lakefront Drive is for public use, eligible for Act 51 funds, and eligible for maintenance by the city of Battle Creek.
I move for the approval of Resolution 451.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 451, and once again, I'd like to go to Commissioner Lance to make a clarification.
I, like Resolution 450, will also be abstaining from voting on 451 for the reasons stated earlier.
Thank you, Commissioner Lance. Any comments, clarifications? Commissioner Linwork-Ray.
I just wanted to ask for clarification from Attorney Steele. I know we just have standards as far as who moves and approves, but if he's recusing, should he be moving and approving? Should it switch for those two to someone else? I'm just, point of clarification.
Yes, and I guess I zoned out if he moved to approve.
The other one as well, yes?
The other one, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, I didn't think about that earlier.
Shouldn't be involved in any of it.
In any of it, right, okay, thank you. So I can move to approve for both. I don't know how to go back for the other one, but I'll move to approve for this one. It's already moved, but how do we want to handle it? I'm just asking that.
You know, I think it probably is a technicality that is causing no harm, so I don't think we need to go back to 450, but for you to go ahead and move to support 451 and then have someone else.
Okay.
You to move to approve it, someone else to support.
Thank you. Move to approve Resolution 451.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 451. And for the record, we'll take Commissioner Lance's comments that he previously made. Are there any other comments on Resolution 451? Seeing none, would you please vote? Resolution 451 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is the general public comment, and this is the period of time that you may come forward and speak. If you'd like to make a comment regarding general public comment, regarding matters over which the City Commission has control, please raise your hand and wait for us to acknowledge you and then come forward to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please state your name and address prior to beginning your comment. Yes, Pastor Monique French.
Monique French, the pastor and director at Washington Heights United Methodist Church. West Roosevelt Avenue is my address. First, I'd like to say to Mayor, the Commission, thank you for this opportunity to be able to stand before you. I want to wish Commissioner Morris a happy birthday. I want to congratulate Vice Mayor Reynolds. And I just want to say thank you for having the open conversation and doing the diligence about finding out more about what is being put into our community. I did have an opportunity to speak with the young man, and I am looking forward to working with him. He does have my contact information, so we will be in contact because I will be a voice if things are not right. But I just want to thank you all for doing the diligence because we need businesses in the community. We need to build up the community, and I thank you for taking the time to even hearing and digging deep and finding out what's going into our community.
Thank you, Pastor. Reese?
Good evening, Reese Atkins, 24 Poplar. I just want to do a little bit of clarification on some things that was mentioned last week at the end after I got up to speak, and I know I couldn't get up to speak afterwards. Each one of you, when you came in today, received a small slip like this. Okay? Let me explain a little bit of what this slip is. I do work for a food pantry. I work for the very first one up on the top, which is Northeast Neighborhood Food Pantry on Northeast Capitol, okay? Your first list of things that you see are neighborhood food pantries. Not everybody can go to those, okay? The only individuals that can go to those are people who live into that neighborhood. I work right across the street at the one that's right across the street from me, okay? Is there a need for food? Yes. Last week, we were open 3 days a week. We opened up on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We served 68 families. On a normal week, we serve between 25 to 30. Okay? So is the need out there for extremely more food? Yes, there is. But can everybody go to these food pantries? No. The bottom list you see, there are 3 of them. Now, those individuals' pantries, anybody can go to. But if somebody asks you about a neighborhood food pantry, can they go to it? No, they cannot if they do not live in the neighborhood. We have that problem all the time. I'm in there 2 days a week, on Monday and Wednesday, and I encourage any one of you commissioners to come out to the food pantry and see the families that we have coming. Our food pantry is the only one in the site, inside the city of Battle Creek that also gives out diapers, formulas, and baby food. We have additional probably 20 to 40 people a week that come out just to get diapers because they can't afford it. Is there a need for it? Yes, there is. But let's clarify and let's make sure that we give out the right information on who can and cannot go to these food pantries, because we have people every day that come to ours and we have to turn them away because they do not live in the neighborhood. People are not understanding these food pantries are neighborhood food pantries. They are not regular food pantries to where everybody can go to. And again, I do encourage any one of you commissioners to come out on any one of the days that we are open and just see the amount of people and bigger families that do come out for the need of help. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Cindy Dion, 24 Poplar. I want to say thank you. You tackled a serious discussion over a part of this community that is marginalized. You have discussed getting food into a place where people have to travel long periods of time and struggle to get where they have to go. And I would say a Metro transit bus here would not be a good option because if they're shopping for a week or a month or whatever it is, they can't get all that food on that transit. So having food closer to the community is a good thing. You know, we still need to address housing. And as someone said earlier today, and I'm with them on this, We need to convert these empty buildings in this community to become homes for marginalized people, either seniors or homeless or whatever. We need places for these people, and we need them to be able to afford it. I encourage you. I was lucky enough to see the plans that were done for Southeastern Junior High School out on Washington Avenue back in 2015, 2016. It looked like a marvelous opportunity. I don't know what happened to it, but they were going to put 110 homes in that school. And this community could use way more than that, but 110 would be a wonderful start. And if you want to ask me why I come up here and talk about marginalization every week, is because I have become a marginalized person, and I have a voice, and I can stand up and talk. And that's important, that people, that I don't want to lose a voice. I want somebody to stand up here and talk for people who are marginalized. I don't want them to, I don't want them to feel like they're mute in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy, for your comments. Any other public comments at this time? Yes, sir.
My name is Ricky, and I reside at 194 Apple Blossom Lane. I've been here the whole night, and I've been hearing that there's, needs, and there's a lot of issues in the police department with projects going on. I know Commissioner Blood had concerns for the police department. I would like to donate $2,000 to the fire department, any of your choosing, or to the General Battle Creek Fire Department, as well as $2,000 to the police department to assist them, because I've been through renovations and projects at my property, and it's not cheap in today's world. So I would like to help and try to give back where I can.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Any other public comments at this time? John?
John Kennefic, 234 South Avenue. I'm speaking not only to the citizens of Battle Creek, but also the citizens of Calhoun County. On August 2nd, there's going to be a vote that has to do with the E911 emergency system and an increase to the system. I would be encouraging anybody that's listening to me at this moment, and I'll give you the reasons why, to vote no on this issue. We've heard a lot of presentation up here in the past commission meeting about one of the administrators of the E911 system. We've seen a newspaper article saying that they're having trouble and the equipment's getting older. Therefore, everyone's reacting and saying, hey, we have to have this new system. We have to have it. We've got to pay more money. To me, it's a standard manipulation. Here are the reasons why. When the E911 system was put into place many years ago, it was all new equipment. But no one sat down for one moment and said, well, we should put some money aside so that we need new equipment down the road when our equipment gets old, we can have it replaced, and it will cost the taxpayers a very, very minimal expense without giving them a cost increase. The other reason, too, is that when the E911 system was put into place, there was a cost savings by all the governmental operations that they didn't have to have individual call E911 systems. They would save money on one building instead of many, and they would also save money on the personnel. They wouldn't do duplicating services. What happened to all that money? Went back to the city, all the municipalities. They never returned anything back to any of the citizens that pay those taxes. Every time I come up here, I always find something interesting that is similar to the E911 system. We built a police station because after 50 years of that old station being there, no one put any money aside in a capital improvement plan, so we got the privilege of paying $10 million more. North of Marshall, they built the state trooper multiplex system above the Marshall fountain. And I talked to the sheriff when they were putting that in place, and I said, well, you guys are saving money. He said, not really. We're doing the same thing as what happened to the E911 system in Battle Creek, or that was developed at that time. We don't have to have an extra money. We're going to keep that money for the government. The citizens get nothing. So these are reasons themselves This was an engineered situation. They manipulated to say, oh, we allowed the system to go down, it's getting old, now we're going to stick you with the bill. That's poor finances and poor management. This has nothing to do with the dispatchers. It has to do with the operation of that system and poor planning. The City Hall, they never put any money aside for that. Where'd the money come from? Emergency funds from the federal government and the state government. Poor financial planning. Thank you.
Any other public comment at this time? Hearing none. Commission comment. Commissioner Bendica, hearing.
Thank you, sir. I would just like to read this. It says, July is Disability Pride Month, so please keep in mind, not all disabilities are visible. If someone says they're disabled, listen to them. No one should have to lay out their entire medical history just to be listened to. No one is too young to be disabled. Stop suggesting cures for a disability you know nothing about, such as, have you tried yoga? And also, disabled is not a dirty word. Please make sure you support disabled people without judgment. Thank you.
Commissioner Linward Ray.
Powerful, Commissioner Herring. Thank you. I have a couple of things that I wanted to ask the chief, if the chief could come up, please. First, if you could start with the 911 ballot proposal, what it is, so people understand what it is.
Yes, I'd be glad to. Again, this can't be a highly technical discussion because, once again, you're not looking at the right person for that. But what's happened is, although a little bit of what I've said was up here earlier was certainly factual, a lot of it was not necessarily the complete truth. And so what happened was, when the system was built post-Katrina, it was built and designed so that everybody could be networked, which is exactly the challenge our nation faced during Katrina, is that all of these first responders showed up on site and they were unable to communicate because they were on different systems and they were unable to connect at that time during either a national or natural or other sort of disaster. So that system was put into place. It was put into place just about across the country at very little local cost to the communities. However, as we have matured and as the system has matured, well, nearly over 20 years, well, so has technology. No one can deny that. The other thing about that is many of our fire agencies and our EMS agencies remained on the old, let's call it antenna or analog system, not high speed, not digital. Because one, it wasn't as reliable because there weren't as many towers out in our rural communities. However, it was more reliable in cities. It could also handle a lot more traffic. So naturally, law enforcement bought into the digital system. And they basically, this pipe was about this big. Well, as law enforcement agency use grew, as data packets start to flow through the system, that pipe was only so big, and now, frankly, it just needs to be bigger. Why? Because now fire departments want to get back in. Because the technology to support that old communication data, let's say antenna or analog data, is no longer available, and in many cases is out of service, as in our case. In terms of the financing, I think that's a great option if we had it in our community and our county, and really many communities across the country, and certainly in this region can afford it. If we could always set aside a little bit of money to pay for these capital infrastructure costs, we wouldn't have a problem. The challenge is multiple challenges come along the way, whether it's fiscal crisis, whether it's, well, a recession or otherwise. There are other priorities that our city has to prioritize, and that's exactly what happened. And so sometimes we have to pay for these things as they come, and that's exactly what we're trying to do right now. This isn't the first time. We have been anticipating this problem for, I believe, almost 5 years, and this is going to be, I want to say, the third time this has been in front of the voters to try to address it.
Thank you. My second question has to do with a statement that was put out today. If you could brief us on that statement, and it regards an officer under your administration in Bedford Township, if you could.
Yes, so we had an incident in Bedford Township where an officer responded to, a sergeant actually responded to a call for service. There have been at least over 25 calls for service out in this particular residence. Most of these revolve around a civil dispute about unknown property landlines, at least unknown to everybody, by a lake, and it's Wabascon Lake. And so there's no markers, there's no clear indication who owns what. And so there is a disagreement at the civil level about who owns what and who has access. We have been involved and continually given counsel that this needs to be resolved in court, civilly, with attorneys, and by a judge. That has devolved through multiple incidents between neighbors into, well, simply a hot mess. Furthermore, one of the subjects has taken to YouTube and other particular social media outlets, and he has shared his highly edited versions of events, and those, of course, have exacerbated the problem, and more importantly, it has grown certainly far beyond the neighborhood and the region. So, with such a matter of fact, it's become such a problem that I had directed some time ago that if officers respond, I want a supervisor to respond also. Well, in this case, a supervisor who, frankly, they were all exhausted by going up there, all dealing with the particular problem. He thought, well, I'm going to be creative, and he tried to be creative. He tried to actually turn some humor into this particular scenario, which was volatile from the get-go. Well, sometimes that works, and when it works, it gets 1 million likes on Facebook, and they're a hero. But when it doesn't, they're a zero, and that's about where we're at right now. One, I commend his creativity, but it fell flat, and we're responsible for that. But I also commend the creativity and the hard work that many of our officers at all levels, at all calls, they go and they try to creatively respond to some of the most traumatic and challenging situations that we have to deal with almost on a daily basis. And if from time to time they try and sometimes fail, inject a little bit of humor into it, that's okay with me. But we certainly own this and we're dealing with it.
Thank you. I'll pause there if anybody else wants to, if anybody had any questions about that one. So that's all I had for Chief Blocker.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Are there any other commission comments at this time?
I actually had more, but I didn't have any additional for Chief Blocker is what I was saying.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Appreciate it. I, too, want to congratulate my sorority sister, Vice Mayor Carla Reynolds, and to wish my commissioner a happy birthday, Commissioner Morris. I also wanted to just say to the applicant, and I'll try to get your name correct by the time I leave here today, but I highly encourage you, in addition to the weekend opportunity to get public input, to gather as much public input and an opportunity for public input as you possibly can as you approach the special use permit request and that process. And I know the neighborhood planning councils, I believe, are coming back online soon, so that would be an opportunity to gain input as well. But if you want to learn other ideas and other ways to do that, just let us know. And then I did want to get a clarification from the clerk. When you read the clarification for Commissioner Hearing, it almost seemed like you had mentioned, because I remember Commissioner Hearing trying to get a recommendation out, and she was trying to find the words, and but eventually Commissioner Lance created the amendment that we ended up voting on. But a moment ago, it almost seemed like you read Commissioner Hearing's remarks as if they were a motion, and I just wanted to make sure that that was not, because that was not seconded, but I just wanted to make sure that that was not in the records that way.
So Commissioner Herring initially made a motion to express support instead of opposition, and then Commissioner Lance said, let's limit this and make it simple, and instead just amend it to state that they needed to comply with the zoning requirements. And then Attorney Steele said, no, his was an amendment to Commissioner Herring's support.
Okay, so who had the original amendment to 448? Because I thought that was with Commissioner Lance. Are we saying the original amendment came from Commissioner Herring and she had support for that? I'm trying to clarify.
So I don't think that I had stated, because Commissioner Herring's motion didn't get a second.
That's correct.
And so it really just went to what Commissioner Lance said to simplify it that way. So I wasn't saying that it was amending what Commissioner Herring said, because that hadn't been seconded.
So that's how I was kind of hearing it from.
Yeah, and so I think that, the clerk read it back and then everyone voted. I mean, I think kind of the understood was based on the applicant's presentation, and we want to support this provided they meet all zoning requirements.
Okay, I just wanted that clarification for the record. That's all I had. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Any other commission comments at this time? Hearing none, meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.